I don't know how I look right now. I feel like I look crusty. I almost didn't do these live upsets basically today, but I was like, you know what? Let me not break tradition. I almost always the first time in a long time that I've ever missed doing these upsets was last week. Um, so today was a lot because I was busy editing and all those type of things. For next week, right? Starting next week, I'm going to be including rounds to my prediction. So basically, I'm going to be including whether a fight is going to end in the first, second, or third, or fourth, or fifth round. I'm also going to be including, what do you call it? Who has the best camp between both fighters. So between two fighters who are fighting each other, I'm going to now be including who has the better camp, who has better cardio, who is harder to finish in a fight. There's a couple of interesting things that I'm going to start adding to my predictions on every section of the channel, but I think for the shorts, I'm not going to add. For shorts, I'm not going to add too much because people are saying it's becoming confusing to understand because I add too much information to my videos. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the shorts as they are, and then maybe I'll add something to explain a couple of the things on the shorts, and then the information that I just mentioned right now will be in the standard videos, and I'll also include them in my live predictions and upsets. Um, wild week, man. Before I get to the upsets, Israel Adesanya cried. Dricus Duplessis managed to make both Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya cry, which is crazy. I didn't actually expect that. But in any case, that's a sensitive topic. Maybe I might make a video about it after the fight. We'll see. We'll see. What else is noteworthy? UFC 307 is a disgrace, man. I'll also probably make a video about it after the card. Anyway, let me get to what everyone is here for. The upsets. Next week, there's going to be so much information on the channel, man. And the nice thing is, Sean Strickland cried on Thea Vaughn. Yeah, he cried on Thea Vaughn, but I mean, it was because of the things that Dricus Duplessis said. You know, he went there and basically complained about what Dricus said. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of information on my channel, and the nice part is I'm innovating this whole thing from cardio, who has the better cardio, better team, better who's harder to finish, um, who has go to all these things will be on my channel. I'm starting all of this, so it's exclusively here. So I'm really excited about that. All to help you guys. When I said you guys mean a lot to me, I'm not just saying it in JFL. I actually mean it, and I'm going to put it into action, as you'll see. Anyway, let me get to the upsets. Stuart Nicole versus Jesus Aguilar. Um, Side note: before I proceed, I made these notes yesterday, so the odds might have changed. But last yesterday, when I wrote down the information, the odds were minus 225 in favor of Stuart Nicole and plus 185 with Jesus Aguilar as the underdog. Um, my subscribers feel like Jesus Aguilar has the better IQ, meaning he makes better decisions in fight. Um, and then my subscribers went with obviously Jesus Aguilar. I went with Stuart Nicole. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, I honestly do because despite the fact that I'm picking Jesus Aguilar, I feel like I mean, despite the fact that I'm picking Stuart Nicole, I made a mistake there. My subscribers are the one who are picking Jesus. I'm picking Nicole. However, despite the fact that I feel like Nicole is a very good and talented prospect, my biggest issue is that he's debuting. So obviously, even if you look outside, even if you look good outside the UFC, it's a different story when you actually make your debut and you have to perform at that level. I feel like Stuart Nicole has the ability to actually show up and actually get the win, but it should be a very, very, very interesting and close fight. My boys like Fed. What's good, my brother? Life-ish, man. I haven't seen you in a while, man. I haven't seen you in a while. There's so much that I'm adding. My predictions. Last time we spoke, it was UFC Saudi Arabia. Crazy enough, I got 11 correct, and the two that I thought were locks were the ones that I got wrong. Dudakova as well as who's Alves Brenner. Um, and then last week, I think I got 8 out of 10. So yeah, I made improvements, and it seemingly is working. Anyway, welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while. There's so many things that I'm going to add to the predictions going forward. Like there's so much information that's going to be on the channel. I can't wait. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you'll go to the community section on the channel after I'm done here. There's so much information. I'm not even exaggerating. Or you can always wait for me to predict the upcoming fight night next week in order to get all the information. But there's so much, so much. Anyway, like I was saying, I feel like an upset is possible here, largely because of the fact that Stuart Nicole is debuting. Um, if he wasn't debuting, or if I knew specifically what his team was capable of, maybe I'd be a little bit more confident. This is the same feeling I had when I was picking who's the guy from the Fighting Nerds who was fighting Drew Dober. I forgot. I picked him twice, but nonetheless, him it was different because I knew his team and I knew how competent they were. That's one of the reasons why I included who has the best fight team, basically on my future um, predictions on the channel. So because it's important, even if you don't know a lot about the fighter, but if you know if a fighter's team is really good, then it makes you feel comfortable. I know it makes me feel comfortable when I'm picking someone, knowing that their team is a very competent team. But nonetheless, I feel like Jesus. But what do you call him? Um, Stuart Nicole is a very talented prospect. Just that the only concern I have is that he's fairly untested, and on the feet, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like even on the ground, I don't. I feel like Stuart Nicole will have the advantage almost everywhere. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm always worried about debutants unless I know what team they're coming from before I move on to the next one. So an upset is definitely possible here, but to sum it up, my subscribers went with Jesus Aguilar. I went with Stuart Nicole. My subscribers feel like Jesus Aguilar has the better fight IQ. He makes better decisions in fight. The favorite here is Stuart Nicole at minus 225. The underdog is Jesus Aguilar at plus 185. Yeah, before I move on, let me reply to the comments. Um, I missed last week's live stream, but I can tell you now tonight's log are set to finish, um, and Israel Adesanya finish locks. I guess we'll just have to see, man. I disagree with that. Alexa Grasso versus Shevchenko. I haven't assessed that, but Shevchenko is old. Probably Alexa Grasso will probably win that one. I think Izzy could win, although Duplessis is in his prime. Yeah, man. That's why I did a separate stream, specifically trying to break down the main event. DDP is too sloppy. He will get caught. Guess we'll see. I see it's going similar to when Costa got picked apart. I mean, Costa is not as good as people thought he was. He hasn't. Well, when was the last time he beat a ranked fighter? I think the last ranked fighter Costa beat was Yoel Romero. And so I feel like it's unfair to compare him to Dricus Du Plessis, who's beating people like Robert Whittaker. I mean, like Paulo Costa did not have that kind of a caliber of a win. Even though he went to a close decision with Sean Strickland, I mean, that was a better performance than any fight that Costa had up until recently against what do you call him, Robert Whittaker, and even then Robert Whittaker won. So I mean, like I feel like it's unfair to compare him to Costa, but I'll break it down when I get to it. I have already done that, but I'll briefly do it again. Is it by KO? We shall see. We shall see. Let me proceed. Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. My subscribers and I went with Song Kenan. My subscribers feel like Song Kenan has the better fight IQ, meaning he makes better decisions in fight. I'm sorry if you are going to be on the stream for until I'm done. I'm going to repeat this because it seems like a lot of people get confused by this particular thing. So I've included IQ to my predictions. So every time I get to a prediction, I'm going to highlight the IQ, the fight IQ level of that particular who has the fight IQ advantage basically in that particular fight. So hopefully it doesn't annoy you guys. So Song Kenan has the fight IQ advantage in this particular fight. He is the favorite at minus 230. Ricky Glenn is an underdog at plus 190. Um, do I think an upset is possible here? Um, yeah, man. I feel like it's going to be very close. On the feet, I feel like they are going to be more or less evenly matched. On the ground, I'd give a slight advantage to Ricky Glenn. So for me, it's going to be a very difficult fight to actually um, call. Uh, your name says it all. Is he gonna dog walk DDP? Okay. Your name says it all. Who? I never heard that one before. Okay. It's going down in the comment section. Anyway, so like I was saying, I feel like Song Kenan should actually win this fight, but I honestly wouldn't be shocked at an upset here. Um, yeah, but I feel like Song Kenan has faced the better competition than Ricky Glenn, and Ricky Glenn has not looked good recently. I honestly, but that's one of the reasons why, even though my subscribers say that this fight is safe for them, they feel like their pick is safe here. I feel like it's risky. Specifically, let me actually give you the numbers. My subscribers feel like this fight is 60% safe, and I feel like it's 60% risky. Largely because I feel like it could go either way. Both are not super elite. I'm leaning more towards obviously Song Kenan because he has faced the better competition. But I feel like he's a little bit unreliable to some extent. But yeah, I'm picking Song Kenan. My subscribers also picked the Song Kenan. Um, just a quick side note: if you're new here, um, my subscribers got 9 out of 10 last week picks correct. And then the week before that, they got 10 out of 13. And then the week before that, I think they also got 10 out of 13. So when I include my subscribers pick, it's not just for fun. Like they're actually very good at predicting fights. They are my closest competition. So a lot of the time I get more fights correct than them, but recently they've been giving me a run for my money. Just wanted to put that out there. So yeah, an upset is possible, definitely here. But I think Song Kenan should win this one. If he doesn't, I mean, I don't know. He should be cut from the UFC. But nonetheless, yeah, an upset is possible here, highly. On to the next one: Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. My subscribers and I went with Tom Nolan. My subscribers feel like Tom Nolan has the IQ advantage. Tom Nolan is the biggest favorite on the card at minus one, 1,100. And Alex Reyes is an underdog at plus 700. My subscribers feel like this fight is 73% safe. I feel like it's 80% safe. Um, I honestly don't. And the thing I love about my channel is that I post my predictions a week before the actual card. So I'm curious to know how much of a favorite Tom Nolan was last week, Saturday, when my predictions came out. Because when my predictions came out, like I don't think he was this much of a favorite. And ever since, man, like I'm shocked that he's a minor. I knew that like Tom Nolan was my lock on this particular card last week, Saturday, but I actually didn't think like he would get to this number as a favorite. It's crazy. But interestingly enough, my subscribers, I actually do IQ rankings. So basically, I rank people based on I look at the votes and whoever got basically whoever has the highest advantage in a specific fight will probably be ranked number one. Basically, if you want to get a deep understanding of what I'm talking about, go to the video section of the channel. I post IQ rankings every single week. So Tom Nolan on this particular card had, according to my subscribers, the highest IQ advantage on this particular card. So out of every single fight, they feel like Tom Nolan will have the biggest IQ advantage. So I guess it makes sense, but 1,100 is crazy. Let me reply to your. So, is an upset possible here? I don't think so, man. I don't see how Alex Reyes wins this fight. Like, if Alex Reyes wins, it'll shock me. I don't think I'll be able to enjoy this card. I am so confident. You know, if it was a women's fight, I'd put a little bit of space for disappointment. But it's a men's fight, man. Tom Nolan is going to win this fight. Like he's better everywhere, in my opinion. Like there's no reason for him to lose this one. Absolutely no reason. So Tom Nolan is definitely he's my lock on this card. He's definitely supposed to win this fight. So I honestly don't see an upset happening here. Um, Let me go to the next fight. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. My subscribers and I went with Jack Jenkins. My subscribers feel like Jack Jenkins has the IQ advantage here, meaning he makes better decisions in a fight. Jenkins is a favorite at minus 550, and Herbert Burns is an underdog at plus 410. Um, my subscribers feel confident that Jack Jenkins is going to win this one. I feel here's the thing, right? Jack Jenkins has been, if I'm not mistaken, you know, it's been a while since I've checked everything, but he's been submitted before. And even though Herbert Burns is not that smart, okay, let me not insult him. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to get involved in these IQ rankings because I knew a lot of people would be offended by this. So I'm glad it's my subscribers deciding that I don't want to be involved. But he doesn't make the best decisions in a fight, and his cardio is not that great. He gives up a lot after the first round. Like he just gives up, but he's very dangerous in the first round. Irrespective of what anyone might think about him, including myself, I can be honest enough to say that he is very dangerous in the first round. So I wouldn't be shocked if he. Okay, I'd be shocked. I don't think Herbert Burns should win this one, but I said it's 60% risky because I feel like there is a shot. No matter how small, there is a slight possibility that he might shock us all, you know, because irrespective, he's very good in the first round. But in all honesty, on the feet, I feel like Jack Jenkins will be the better fighter. Um, on the ground, I don't feel like the fight will probably go to the ground because I feel like Jack Jenkins has really decent takedown defense, and he sometimes gets takedowns. So I've realized that normally people who are good grappling offensively are also usually decent defensively. So yeah, is an upset possible here? I don't know, man. I don't think so. But like I said, Herbert Burns is very dangerous in the first round. After the first round, like you can relax, like or at the very least, after the first half of the first round, then maybe you can take a little bit of a breath. But up until then, he can get a submission. So maybe let me just leave it at maybe. I feel like Jenkins should definitely win this one. The possibility of an upset is not high, but it is possible. Not high, but there is that possibility. Anyway, let me move on to the next one. Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. My subscribers and I went with Luana Santos. Casey O'Neill is an underdog at plus 125. Santos is the favorite at minus 150. My subscribers and I agree that this fight is very risky. Um, I feel like Luana Santos should definitely win this one. Okay, I forgot the IQ. My subscribers feel like Luana Santos has the better IQ, meaning she makes better decisions during her fights between the both of them. I feel like Luana Santos should win this one pretty dominantly or maybe finish. But I said this about Dudakova, so. Who was the other girl? Was it? No, it wasn't Brazil. There was this other girl also who looked sensational on the Contender Series, and I felt like she was going to be one of the best prospects in the UFC, in the females division, basically. And she came in there and just lost, basically. She did. She pulled the Dudakova, like these girls. Anyway, Luana Santos should definitely dominate this fight or get a finish, but it's women's MMA, so I wouldn't be shocked if Casey O'Neill gets a knockout, even though she's not supposed to. Like, that's what happens in women's MMA. Anyway, um, I'm sticking with Luana Santos. I feel pretty confidently that she's going to win, but who knows? I mean, who knows? On to the next one, Josh Kulibao versus Ricardo Ramos. My subscribers went with Josh Kulibao. I went with Ricardo Ramos. My subscribers feel like Josh Kulibao has the IQ advantage here. He makes better decisions during a fight. I'm not going to argue with that. Ramos has dived into a guillotine before, so so I'm not gonna argue with them. Josh Kulibao is a small favorite at the minus 170, and Ricardo Ramos is an underdog at plus 145. I'm going to reply to all your comments once I'm done, because if I keep on replying to your comments while I'm busy here, I'm not gonna finish. Or before I get to the main event, I'll reply to your comments and then go to the main event. Anyway, um, my subscribers and I agree that this fight is 100% risky. Skill for skill, I feel like Ricardo Ramos is better here. I think he should dominate this fight. But like I just said, that's one of the reasons why I started and I included the fight IQ rankings basically. Because someone as skilled as Ricardo Ramos is able to lose fights because he makes horrible decisions in a fight. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, I need to include fight IQ rankings. And I think it's an incredible idea right now because a lot of the people who are ranked a little bit higher on the rankings normally win. For example, Carol Rosa last week was ranked high. She won. Um, Actually, Carol Rosa was number one last week, and she performed like she was number one. So I love the rankings. Anyway, let me not blab on about the rankings and get to actually the upsets. Um, An upset is definitely possible here. That's why my subscribers and I said this fight is 100% risky. Because skill for skill, I feel like Ricardo Ramos is the better fighter. But because of the fight IQ, it's hard for me to actually be confident about him winning. So it could go either way. But if Ricardo Ramos shows up, I think he's going to win. But my subscribers feel differently, and like I said before, they have had incredible results, especially recently. 9 out of 10 is crazy for me. Like when I saw that, I was like, damn. Even though I got 8 and the difference is 1, but and it's 90%. I got 80%. It's not as impressive as 90%. So I respect my subscribers' pick. Um, anyway, on to the next one. So an upset is definitely possible here. On to the next one. Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. My subscribers and I went with Junior Tafa. My subscribers feel like Junior Tafa has the better fight IQ. The fight is basically even. They are both minus 110. The fight, my subscribers and I feel like this fight is highly risky. Largely because, and I know it was short notice, but Junior Tafa showed that he can easily be taken down. I mean, even Mohammed Usman took him down, and Mohammed Usman is not that great. Um, so that worries me a lot because, I mean, Walter Walker's strength is taking people down and wrestling them. So that's one of the things that really worry me about this particular fight, especially because I picked Junior Tafa. However, Junior Tafa has that knockout power. 100% finishing rate is crazy. So I'm banking on him actually finishing this fight in the first round, especially because I didn't feel like Walter Walker was particularly good. I saw people mentioning in the comments that, well, he's 12 pounds lighter now, his cardio will be improved, he looks shredded. And I agree to that. That's why I said that this fight is very risky. Both of them for me are not that great. So it's hard for me to be confident. I mean, if Tafa could stay on his feet, but he's shown that he doesn't know how to. Even though the takedown defense is high, I feel like his takedown defense is great because he hasn't fought like a lot of high level fighters. But I'm hoping that he improved or somehow he can finish the fight within the first round so that it doesn't have to come into play. It worries me a lot. So that's one of the reasons why I said it's a risky one. So, as an upset possible here, I mean, there's no upset because both of them are even. But yeah, obviously, whoever's the favorite on the fight, like on fight night, the upset is possible because, on the other hand, Tafa could get the knockout. On the other hand, it seems Walter Walker learned his lesson with regards to cardio, and he seemingly improved. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if that's the case. But this fight is definitely very risky, and an upset is definitely possible here. Whoever is the favorite on fight nine. Anyway, on to the next one. Li Jinglian versus Carlos Prates. My subscribers and I went with Carlos Prates. My subscribers feel like Li Jinglian has the better fight IQ in this particular fight. Li Jinglian is an underdog at plus 190. Um, Carlos is the favorite at minus 230. My subscribers and I feel pretty confidently that Carlos Prates will probably win this one, but I'm not so confident after doing a little bit more research. Um, I feel like Carlos Prates' reach will be the biggest difference maker and power. I feel like Carlos Prates has the knockout power and he has the reach advantage, which will play a significant role in how this fight plays out. However, one of the things that make me feel a little bit comfortable is that Carlos Prates has an incredible gym. The fighting nerds, I trust that gym a lot. So I know that they will prepare him, and he's looked sensational in his previous fights. Everyone out of that gym looks sensational except that one guy. Who's that guy who I forgot even his name. So everyone looks good in that gym except that one guy who was fighting, I think, about 2 weeks ago. He looked horrible. But yeah, I think this one is very risky. Not very risky. I feel like Carlos Prates should win. My thing is that the reach will probably be the difference maker. Because on the feet, I feel like Li Jinglian will be a little bit better defensively. He throws a little bit more volume. So it's going to be interesting to see how this fight plays out. On the ground, I'd give a slight advantage. Actually, yeah, an advantage to Li Jinglian. So is an upset possible here? I think so. I think so. I was pretty confident before doing research for my live videos. After looking at it a little bit better, I think Li Jinglian has a shot. Not a big one. I'm still picking Carlos Prates. I still feel like he's supposed to win this one, but an upset is definitely possible here. Yeah, it is possible. On to the next one. Taito Ivasa versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. My subscribers and I went with Jairzinho Rosenstrike. My subscribers felt like Rosenstrike has the better fight IQ in this particular fight. Taito Ivasa is the underdog at plus 160. Rosenstrike is the favorite at minus 185. My subscribers and I feel like this fight is heavily risky. To be specific, my subscribers say it's 74% risky. I said 70% risky. The only issue I have here is Taito Ivasa has a lot of power. Outside of that, I don't see him winning the fight at all. Um, Rosenstrike is a former kickboxer. I think he should be able to avoid getting destroyed, especially if he survived the Shamil Gaziev. And I would be worried if Shamil Gaziev was doing significantly well in the early rounds. But Shamil Gaziev didn't look that great in the early rounds, you know. So I, I also feel like Taito Ivasa isn't taking his career seriously. But I can honestly say that that's why my subscribers felt like Jairzinho Rosenstrike has the IQ advantage in this particular fight. Because I feel like Taito Ivasa is reckless enough to actually try and get in there and just throw caution to the wind and try to get a knockout in the first round. And with that kind of power, I mean, it is possible. I think I wouldn't put it past Taito Ivasa, but Taito Ivasa to me is like Sergey Pavlovich, right? A lot of people were calling me crazy. I picked against Sergey Pavlovich when he was fighting Tom Aspinall. It looks like a no-brainer now, but back then Tom Aspinall was coming in on short notice. Pavlovich was running through everyone, and people were calling me crazy. But I was like, Pavlovich does not have technique. Like he has power, but there's no technique. I'm sorry to compare Taito Ivasa to Sergey. At least Sergey takes his career seriously. I don't feel like Taito Ivasa takes his career seriously. But my point is, Sergey does not have that much technique. That's why I picked against him. And even against the Volkov, I picked against him because I felt like Volkov has better technique and he has the reach advantage. So I knew that obviously power changes everything. So in this case, I think this is also the situation with this particular fight. I feel like Rosenstrike has the reach advantage. Both of them have finishing abilities because people we speak only about Taito Ivasa, but they have an equal amount of finishing rate. Like both of them have a 93% finishing rate, fight finishing rate. Um, yeah, they're gonna pop out. Um, so let me see. Yeah, I feel like that's the only way I could see Taito Ivasa winning, is if he throws caution to the wind. But even then, man, I feel like the reach advantage will play heavily in what do you call? Rosenstrike's favor because he has an experience as a kickboxer. So he's going to be able to use that reach to actually manage distance and avoid big shots. I feel like Taito Ivasa will throw a lot of heavy shots in the first round and exhaust himself, and he's going to get picked apart and probably maybe get finished in the late second round or early third round. I don't know. But I feel like a KO is possible from Tai Tuivasa. Like that's the thing about him. But like I said, I'm as worried as I was when I picked against Pavlovich, when I picked Volkov against Pavlovich. Um, I was just as worried. I'm still worried. So an upset is possible here, but man, with the kickboxing, with the fight IQ, with the reach advantage, and the same level of finishing ability, because Rosenstrike finishes fights quite literally equally as much as Taito Ivasa. So both of them finish fights the same in the same way, or rather, in terms of percentage, they have the same level of finishes, right? So it's not like we're talking about Ty alone, and Ty is the only one who has the ability to finish the fight quickly. I mean, Rosenstrike could get a first round knockout as well. Like that's not a crazy thing to even think about. So I think Rosenstrike should definitely win this one, and an upset is possible, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. Especially because I feel like Taito Ivasa isn't taking his career seriously, which is sad because I think he's a really good fighter. If he actually was serious, you know, imagine if Taito Ivasa decided to go to City Kickboxing and train with Carlos Olberg, Israel Adesanya, and all those guys. Like, imagine what Taito Ivasa would look like. Shit. That's why I'm like, this dude is not taking his career seriously. He has the potential to become something. He's probably going to do what Derek Lewis did, wait up until he's 37, and then he's going to lose all that weight and say he wants to go on a run for to a championship. Anyway, an upset is possible here, not highly, but it is possible, I think. On to the next one, Matheus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. My subscribers and I went with Matheus Gamrot. My subscribers feel like Gamrod has the IQ advantage in this particular fight. My subscribers have been on point with these IQ picks, man. Um, Matheus Gamrod is the favorite at minus 260, and Dan Hooker is the underdog at plus 210. Um, my subscribers and I feel like Gamrod should actually win this one convincingly. Before I proceed to break down this fight, I heard there are rumors that um, Carl Williams last week was told to not grapple. If that's the case, man, one championship or PFL is going to take over MMA because I feel like the UFC are slowly starting to disrespect their fans and they forget that there's competition. I think one championship is the biggest competition because they have really impressive talent and they focus on competition. And the UFC recently, with the fights like Stipe giving Colby Covington a title shot, and anyway, let me not go on a rant or anything like that. So I explained this. I explained this when I did my final prediction. I actually I actually made like a this fight, Matheus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker, this is probably the fight that I spent a lot of time on when I was doing my final predictions earlier this week. Trying to basically explain why I feel this confidently about Matheus Gamrot. I mean, Dan Hooker is a very incredible striker. I mean, he's training from City Kickboxing, and you know that gym is producing really good fighters. But nonetheless, here's why I feel pretty confident about. I'll try to summarize it so that this time it's not as long. Number one, Dustin Poirier looked sensational against Islam Makhachev. Dustin Poirier clearly said that. He looks that way because he was training with Matheus Gamron. So Dustin Poirier has never looked like that against anyone, right? Obviously, you can credit that to maybe his experience against people like Charles Oliveira, against people like Habib, and maybe he learned from that and improved. But Justin Gaethje has not looked like that in a very long time. I mean, even Benoit Saint Denis was actually beating him with wrestling up until Saint Denis got tired and actually ended up giving up and getting finished. But even Benoit Saint Denis was having massive success against um, Dustin Poirier. So training with Mateus Gamrot actually brought Dustin Poirier to that level whereby Dustin Poirier was actually able to perform at an incredibly high level. I've never seen Dustin Poirier perform like that. Especially his ability to actually avoid getting taken down. It says a lot about how good Mateus Gamrot is because that's who prepared him. Even though Dustin Poirier got submitted ultimately, but it took a very unusual technique from Islam Makhachev to actually get that takedown and actually get that submission. Other than that, if it was anyone else, I don't know if they would have beaten Dustin Poirier. In any case, that's the first thing. Number two, people feel like Mateus Gamrot is going to be lost on the feet. I honestly doubt because if you look at the fight between Rafael Fiziev, who's an incredible striker and had an amazing fight with Justin Gaethje, Mateus Gamrot, I feel like was winning that fight on the feet. And I mean, like I said, Rafael Fiziev was a kickboxing coach, if I'm not mistaken, at Tiger Muay Thai. So we're talking about someone who's actually very good at striking. And Mateus Gamrot was arguably winning that fight on the feet before the injury, right? I know a lot of people like to bring up um like what they do to discredit or what they say as a way to argue that well then Hooker has a shot is well Mateus Gamrot was dropped by RDA, is it? Yeah, I think it's RDA. We're talking about a former world champion. Like, like I don't know why that's a bad thing. And RDA looked really good in that particular fight. So I don't know why people are making it seem like he was dropped by I don't know who. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect Tony Ferguson because he used to be good. Like it's like saying I don't know he was dropped by I don't know. Who's bad at lightweight? Let me go to welterweight. He was dropped by Michael Chiesa. Like it's not like he was dropped by Michael Chiesa. You know, he was dropped by a former champion and who still looks good. So I don't know why people are making it sound like he was. And the thing about RDA is that he's very well rounded. He's not like your average boring or unskilled fighter. He's very well rounded. Like he can submit you, he can knock you out. Dan Hooker can knock you out. He won. The submission threat is not there. Well, it is, but not highly, especially against someone like Mateus Gamrot. And we know that cardio is not going to be an issue for Gamrot. So, combining all these elements, I feel like even if the fight doesn't go to the ground, I don't know if Mateus Gamrot is going to lose that fight. Not to discredit Dan Hooker, but I don't know, man. I'd be shocked if Mateus Gamrot loses this fight. So I feel pretty confidently that Gamrod is going to win this one. I don't think an upset is possible here. Right. It's MMA, anything is possible, but I don't think so. On to the next one, Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. My subscribers went with Steve Erceg. I went with Kai Kara France. My subscribers feel like Steve Erceg has the better fight IQ, meaning he makes better decisions during fights. Kai Kara France is an underdog at plus 190. Steve Erceg is the favorite at minus 230. My subscribers feel pretty confident about this fight because they say it's their pick is 53% safe. I said it's 51% risky. Let me also explain this one, right? I will try to sum it up by saying Kai Kara France went had an incredible fight, 5 rounds, I think. Yeah, it was 5 rounds against Amir Al Bazi. It was a main event. I think it was a main event. I remember it being a main event. Steve Erceg is not Amir Al Bazi on the ground, right? And a lot of people are arguing still, even today, that Kai Kara France won that fight. Steve Erceg is not Amir Al Bazi on the ground. Amir Al Bazi is clearly the better grappler. Kai Kara France was doing significantly well against Brandon Moreno on the feet, right? Until he got um, kicked on the liver and basically got finished. But people are mentioning Pentoja, like Kai Kara France has not had a championship level experience. I mean, doesn't get any better than Brandon Moreno. And I could argue that Steve Erceg faced a declining Alexandre Pentoja, because Pentoja is going to lose his title within the next two. Either his next defense or the second defense is going to make, he's going to lose that belt. His reign is going to be over pretty soon. Um, uh, because of a variety of factors. Number one, he's old, and at flyweight, that's not good. Number two, his last few performances do not look like he's going to reign for a very long time, right? People like Kamaru Usman, it was shocking when he lost because he was dominating everyone. People like Volkanovski, it was a shock when he lost because he was dominating everyone. Um, Israel Adesanya, I mean, we got used to him losing, but to be honest, him losing wasn't a shock as much. Maybe in the Pereira fight, largely because he was winning that fight. So I could say, yeah, that one was a shocker as well because of the fact that he was winning that fight. Um, in all honesty, I feel like Pantoja is at the end of his reign. And Steve Erceg still couldn't finish him. They still couldn't win. Even though people are arguing that he won that fight, I don't think so. Um, I feel like Pantoja actually won that fight. Barely, but he still won that fight. So Steve Erceg couldn't finish an old, coming to the end of his reign Pantoja. For me personally, I don't think it's as impressive as people feel like it is. On the other hand, I feel like Kai Kara France faced a very hungry and skilled Brendan Moreno. And that's why a lot of people were very disappointed in his performance. And even Brendan Moreno was disappointed in his performance. And that's why Moreno has taken leave basically from fighting. He's not even at the Sphere. I thought Brendan Moreno would actually return for the Sphere because it's a massive event. But Moreno performed so horribly in that particular fight that he decided to take a break. Oh, it was after. It was after. But nonetheless, I think that was the beginning. That championship fight was the beginning of that horrible performance because that was not the guy who beat Davis and Figueiredo. Obviously, the money, the success will eventually affect how you prepare and all those type of things. And I feel like that's what happened with him. And that's why he's taking a break from fighting. But I feel like Kai Kara France faced a very determined Brandon Moreno. Like he faced a very determined Brandon Moreno, and I feel like Kai Kara France looked good in that particular fight. Up until he got finished, he looked good. And I don't think Steve Erceg is on Brandon Moreno's level. So the reason I make these comparisons is that Amir Albazi couldn't submit Kai Kara France. Of course, Brandon Moreno was able to finish Kai Kara France, but I mean, I don't want to call it luck because I mean he landed a good shot. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't feel like Steve Erceg is the level of a striker of like as Brandon Moreno. For me personally, I don't look at the loss against Pantoja as a good thing. I feel like he couldn't finish someone who's at the end of his reign. Kai Kara France, it's not like Kai Kara France is past his prime. He's faced better competition. The only high level fighter that Steve Erceg
has ever faced is Pantoja, and still an old Pantoja, and he still couldn't finish. He still lost. You know, Steve Erceg. I mean, Kai Kara France has beaten really decent fighters. So that's one of the reasons why I went with Kai Kara France. I also feel like he has a really good team. They've been performing significantly well when it comes to grappling. I wouldn't be shocked if Kai Kara France actually fought offensively um, against with wrestling against the Erceg, because since they brought in Craig Jones, I think they brought in Craig Jones to prepare Volkanovski for the first fight against Islam Makhachev, and since then, the City Kickboxing, and I know what do you call him? Volkanovski is not at City Kickboxing, but I saw that Craig Jones is working with the City Kickboxing team to prepare them in terms of grappling. And I'm sure that Kai Kara France will be prepared for any ground game that Steve Erceg might try. I honestly feel like Kai Kara France is going to outclass him. I don't feel like it's going to be even a question of who won. I feel like it's going to be clear that Kai Kara France won that fight. I don't think it's going to end in a finish because I respect both of them. I feel like um, they are very skilled fighters. They are very competent at not getting finished. But I think Kai Kara France is going to win this one. Could be wrong, but based on what I'm looking at, let me look at my notes properly again. Yeah, yeah. Kai Kara France is going to win here. Um, like I said, it's MMA. Anything can happen, but I don't think so. Anyway, on to the next one. Dricus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya. My subscribers went with Israel Adesanya. I went with Dricus Duplessis. My subscribers feel like Israel Adesanya has the IQ advantages, or rather advantage, meaning he makes better decisions in fight. But for me personally, I also feel like Dricus Duplessis is one of the smartest people in the UFC. I'm not even talking about weight class in general, but I understand why they picked Israel Adesanya. He's smart enough to avoid getting hit. He's smart enough to um, win fights without taking too much damage. He makes really good decisions in fights, so I understand why they picked him. Because Dricus Duplessis, despite the fact that I feel like he's an intelligent person, he makes really reckless decisions in fight, which is what makes him an exciting fighter, which is what works for his style, you know. Um, but in terms of IQ, I agree with my subscribers. In actual fact, I think I agree with all their IQ picks on this card. Anyway, Dricus Duplessis is an underdog at plus 110, and Israel Adesanya is a small favorite at minus 135. Both my subscribers and I feel like this fight is very risky. This is the last fight that I'm breaking down. I actually made a separate video for this one, but I'll try to summarize it. I actually didn't break down the Kai Kara France fight as much as I did. Wow. I even convinced myself that Kai Kara France is going to win. I, I was a bit skeptical about it, but after explaining it like that, I didn't actually know that I had so much information in my head. Anyway, let me proceed. So, Dricus Duplessis. Why did I pick Dricus Duplessis? Technically, I feel like Israel Adesanya is the better fighter. There's no disputing that. But he doesn't do well when it comes to pressure. But also, he has incredible counters. So if you pressure him too much and you're reckless doing it, what happened to Robert Whittaker and what happened to Paulo Costa is going to happen to him. However, I don't feel like Israel Adesanya has that much power, respectfully, because even though he has 60 knockouts, how many of them were in the UFC? And ranked, actually, let's leave how many of them were in the UFC. How many of them were ranked? Because I think the only ranked, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the only ranked knockouts that Israel Adesanya has are probably four, if I'm not mistaken. It's Derek Brunson, it's Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa, and Alex Pereira, right?
The last two, I don't feel like the knockout against Alex Pereira as well as Robert Whittaker were more because of the mistakes that Alex Pereira and Robert Whittaker made, as opposed to because of Israel Adesanya's skill, right? Because Alex Pereira thought Israel Adesanya was hurt, and then he tried to finish, and which basically is why my subscribers went with Israel Adesanya when it comes to IQ, because it turns out Israel Adesanya was faking in order to lure Alex Pereira in so that he can counter him. That's why IQ is very important. But nonetheless, I feel like obviously that's a smart move on the part of Israel Adesanya, but I don't feel like it was more of technique. It was largely because of intelligence, which I don't feel like Dricus Duplessis is going to make that kind of mistake. But like I said, intelligence means he can set different traps, and he says that a lot. It sounds corny, but he did it against Alex Pereira. So he can set traps. But like I was saying, I think Dricus Duplessis is a very intelligent person. Even though he doesn't make the best decisions during a fight. I think he's going to be able to detect the certain traps. I don't think Dricus Duplessis is going to fall for any traps, right? Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker was fighting emotionally. I think he broke it down even better than I can, but he was rushing too much and got dropped. Um, and that's why in the second fight he didn't make those mistakes and it was close. And there are people even arguing that he won that fight. I'm not one of them, but nonetheless, there are people who are arguing that he won that fight. So for me, those knockouts are not as great as a lot of people make them out to seem. So, but this fight is a little bit different, largely because I saw that he's bulked up, which means he's going to be cutting down, which means he's going to have a little bit more power in order to finish fights. So it's going to be very interesting how this fight plays out. Um, Another thing is Israel Adesanya is now a little bit emotional. Not even a little. He's very emotional. I don't think we've ever seen Israel Adesanya like this. We've seen him angry, not emotional. I don't think I've ever seen Israel Adesanya fighting emotionally. He was angry against Paulo Costa. He was angry against Alex Pereira. He was angry against a couple of fighters, but I've never seen him emotional. And someone who's emotional, especially as much as to the point whereby he ended up crying, it tells me that he's going to try and finish Dricus Duplessis. And even though he is a very smart fighter, um, I feel like the desire to actually finish that fight is going to make him make a lot of significant mistakes, and because of that, it makes me a little bit more confident about my pick of Dricus Duplessis, because Dricus Duplessis has, number one, power. Number two, he is going to be able to survive on the feet long enough to actually get the fight to the ground. Um, and if it gets to the ground, I don't think Israel Adesanya is going to win. I mean, he's gotten up, but what do you call him? Jan Blachowicz was able to win because he was having success on the feet, and then because of the success he was having on the feet, he tired out Israel Adesanya, and then he was able to take him down. But it was important for him to be successful on the feet in order to make sure that he's able to take him down. Same thing happened with Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira was actually having success on the feet, and that's why he was able to take Israel Adesanya down. So if you look at historically, if you are able to have any sort of success on the feet against Israel Adesanya, even if he's winning, but if you pressure him enough and you do the right things, you're going to be able to take him down. So I feel like Dricus Duplessis has enough power and is odd enough in order to be a very difficult puzzle for Israel Adesanya to solve, and that will result in actually what do you call him, Dricus Duplessis finding a way to actually take the fight to the ground. I think the only way Israel Adesanya should win this fight is through finish. If it gets to the judges, I don't think it's going to be Drake. Israel Adesanya who wins. Um, because I feel like Dricus Duplessis will be pressuring, which means he's going to be inflicting more damage. He will look a little bit busier on the feet and even on the ground, wherever the fight takes place. If Israel Adesanya does not finish this fight, he's going to lose a decision. I can guarantee you that. So that's why ultimately I feel like it's one of the riskiest fights on the card, second to Josh Kulibao versus what do you call him, Ricardo Ramos. Those are the only two fights. The main event and that fight, like those are probably the riskiest fights on the card, because it could go either way. Largely because both fighters are very skilled and have the ability to find a way to win the fight. But yeah, I love how I did this upsets predictions. I'm enjoying this now. Let me respond to your comments. I'm looking forward to next week, guys. Yo, there's so much information. I'm really excited. The cardio, the team, which round the fights are going to be ending. There's so much. I'm really excited, and like it makes me happy to know that I'm giving you guys value. Let me respond so that I can bounce. Um, Let me see. Your name says it all. Who is he referring to? Oh, UFC casual. You guys are roasting each other in the comment section. You never heard that one before. Adesanya by Bad Juju. Okay. Safe, confident picks. Last the second picks. Okay. I actually maybe should do that. The picks that I feel pretty confident about. Let me give you the picks that I feel pretty confident about. Um, Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan should definitely win that one. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Uh, Mateus Gamrod. Who else? I don't know, man. I want to say Prates, but I'm worried for Prates. And maybe Jack Jenkins. Yeah, those are the fights the fights that I feel pretty confident about. I think they are going to win. But I think I explained everything throughout this whole stream. So if you want to hear my thoughts, you can rewatch it once I'm done, or go to the short section. There's a lot of information there. I must admit, Izzy is technically better, but I just want him to lose. He's so cringe. Wow. At least you're honest. Blue Hearts Kamala for president. Okay. Nigerian Egwe. Okay. Okay. Um, my main card picks are Jing Lian, Tuivasa, Hooker, Kai, Izzy. Not too bad, but I feel like those are very risky picks. But if you feel confident about them, who am I? Blue, Izzy Vin, Ty is not taking this one, bro. Yeah, I agree. Ty is losing this one. Yeah, his eyeballs are gonna pop out. I mean, oh, you're talking about my eyes. I mean, is this the first time you see someone with big eyes? Welcome to the world. We're talking about UFC. Go away, Dubot. Jack Mason. Thank you, and he's a tank. Yeah, guys. If you're new to the channel, I do this every single week. Monday, I do UFC prediction results, basically. Wednesday, I do final predictions. Friday or Saturday, I do upsets predictions. And there's going to be a lot more information. Starting next week, there's going to be significantly more information. If you're new to the channel, go to the community section right now. The voting is open. Like there's so much information from Fight IQ, who has the better team, better cardio, which round is the fight going to end, who wins, is the fight risky or not. There's so much information. So go through the channel. The community section is incredible for all my subscribers. Um, they have a say in every single thing that happens on the channel. The video section is also going to be golden from now on, because everything that's happening in the community section, I'm going to be including it in the video section. So, such as the Fight IQ rankings. If you don't know the Fight IQ rankings, go to the video section. You'll see the latest video. Actually, the Fight IQ rankings for the upcoming fight night card are out. My predictions for the next fight night card are out in the short section. So check every single section of the channel. There's so much information. I'll see you guys Monday when I react to, or I actually come and take my wins or my L's. But I feel pretty confident, for the past 2 weeks, especially since I adjusted my prediction analysis strategy. I've been doing pretty decently, 11 out of 13. I was happy with that, even though the Dudakova loss, like, it really, really sucked for me, which is crazy because I got 11 correct, but it really, really made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing. But nonetheless, last week again, I got 80%, which was really good. My subscribers before, like, the I'm repeating this. The Abu Dhabi card or the Saudi Arabia card, they got 10 out of 13. Last week they got 9 out of 10. So um, we have really good predictions on the channel. That's why I encourage everyone. I would like for every subscriber to participate in the voting of the picks, so that, because it also makes it easier for you guys to understand, because I asked the question in the community section. And when I make the video, if you didn't vote or if you don't participate in the community section, sometimes it becomes a little bit confusing, because I saw in the shorts section, someone who also has a channel. So, what do you call him? Combat critique. Yeah, I think he was confused about the IQ um, thing and everything like that. But if you participate in the community section, that thing is not nothing is going to confuse you, because you'll know because of the type of questions I ask. But I'll try to explain everything. Um, but yeah, there's so much I have planned for the channel, man. I love and appreciate all of you. See you Monday. Until next time, deuces.